Hi, I'm Jack Schlafly.
And I'm Eliza Normark. Welcome to a WCAT Janterm report.
To start off the show today, we'll be covering the year-old program, Janterm.
Janterm was started last year as simply a test to see the positives of a class centrally focused on one particular subject.
For more on Janterm, let's send it to Ansley McNeil. Ansley?
As the weather is cooling down here at Westminster, things are heating up quickly at Janterm. Janterm, which is Westminster's mini-semester, is where students can take a class not normally offered by the Westminster curriculum. It takes place during the first 3 weeks of January every year. There are many different classes available, such as music and the movies and chemistry and cooking. However, the classes are not the only things that are heating up this year at Janterm. Many students are also feeling fired up about what choices they got for their Janterm selection.
This actually wasn't one of my choices. I had to switch out of I got into Chattahoochee, which was my first choice, and I had to switch out of it because I would miss too many basketball games.
Many students have heard rumors of people getting their fifth choice or a choice that they did not select on the Janterm class list.
Yeah, to my knowledge, none in fifth choices. Often students forget their rankings, and I'm always happy to go back and look to see what their survey and show them what their survey said. So after the computer program ran and sorted students into classes, there were some hand sorting that needed to be done. We had 54% of students ended up in their first choice, 32% ended up in their second choice, and 12% ended up in their third choice. That left 2% in fourth choice.
Most students agree that seniors should have some sort of advantage when it comes to the Janterm selection program. However, Dr. Small says that it's more difficult than it seems to implement that into the program.
Right now, in the way that the program is running, there's no priority given to seniors other than the courses that say are just offered to juniors and seniors. We have gone back and attempted a program that sorted seniors first, then juniors and sophomores and freshmen. And the program fails in that ultimately we have to be able to put students, all the students, 810 of them, into a Janterm class. And when we tried to sort students that way, we ended up with a huge number of students that ended up in no class whatsoever.
As Dr. Small explains, the computer program is not one big mystery. It is much more simple than most students believe.
The way that the computer program works is students rank their top 5 choices, and then the program begins by randomly sorting students into courses. Depending on what course each student ends up with, if you got your first choice, you'll be given 100% happiness. Second choice, 80% happiness. Third choice, 50%. Fourth choice, 20%. If you didn't get one of your top 4 choices, you'll get a negative 1,000%. And so then the program resorts students to see if it can improve upon sort of an average overall happiness. And it'll do this for millions of generations.
Despite a few complaints, the administration has done a good job. Most students are happy with their Janterm class.
As an athlete, it's really limited as to what you can do depending on your interests. Like, say you wanted to go to Hollywood or India, you wouldn't be able to because, like, as a varsity athlete, you have to stay here for the games and stuff and practice. So it makes it really hard to focus in on like what you would actually have as your first interest versus what is actually available to you. But I mean, I'm still happy with my choice.
Janterm is a complex process. It changes each year. Sure, you can't please everyone, but the administration sure does try to. I'm Ansley McNeil with WCAT. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Ansley. Janterm is often seen as a relaxing 3 weeks for students, but not many people know how many different components go into making it all work.
Next up on the show today is one of the most talked about topics on campus, the rivalry between the Blessed Trinity Titans and the Westminster Wildcats. The Cats met up with the Titans for a basketball game earlier this month, marking the first meeting between the two schools since the championship football game.
That's exactly right, Jack. The Titans and the Wildcats haven't gotten along for a few years now, and the rivalry intensified even more with what will go down as one of the more infamous state championship football games of all time. Let's toss it to Hannah Morgan and her crew for more on the big basketball game. Hannah? The Westminster Wildcats varsity basketball teams traveled to Blessed Trinity last Friday night and brought home 2 hard-earned wins from the Titans. The basketball games marked the first time since the AAA Football State Championship that Westminster has matched up against BT in an athletic competition. The fierce rivalry with the Titans only escalated as the football team showed up at Blessed Trinity in full championship gear to cheer on the Hoop Cats. WCAT reporter Meghna Patel sought out both students and coaches for their insights into the history of the rivalry.
I'm here with Super Wildcat fan Caroline Welsh. What do you think started the rivalry between Westminster and BT?
They make some pretty rude comments on social media, and I just believe that we're better than them and we have a higher moral standard.
I'm here with Coach Lugas. So, Coach Lugas, have you heard through the grapevine that the football team will be making an appearance at the basketball games, and they'll be decked out in their state championship gear?
I have heard, and I plan on being at the game myself.
Where do you think the rivalry between Westminster and BT started?
I think there's always been one. I think it's more of a true rivalry where you look at Lovett. Lovett's real close to us. They're y'all hang out with each other. The parents know each other. Whereas that school, you don't have as many friends. The parents don't know each other, so it's more of a true rivalry, I think. And I think it just escalates where we're so competitive in the same sports.
What do you think started the rivalry between Westminster and BT?
I mean, they're just not very nice people. They don't really go out of their way to do anything for other people. They're just kind of for themselves. And I don't know, sometimes they get mad when we're better than them too. So that usually contributes to them just not like.
Okay, and I know last time we faced BT, you were actually playing in the game, in the state championship game. So what's it going to be like this time, actually watching BT instead of playing in the game?
It'll definitely be a lot different. Basketball's a lot different than football too. Football's a much bigger game in terms of size and players as well. So basketball, it'll be interesting. We've got some really good players on both of our teams. So I think we'll be able to come out with the victory not only in football but basketball too.
Thank you. And so, do you know what you'll be wearing to the game?
Yes, I do. I'll be wearing this shirt right here.
So, you guys are all here in your championship attire. So, what would you say the reaction you were trying to evoke here was?
We're not trying to rub it in. We're just trying to celebrate further and make sure they know we're celebrating still.
As promised by the senior captains and other student leaders, Westminster's football championship team showed up in full force at BT's gym. The stands smoldered with tension and threatened to burst into open animosity. BT officials were forced to draw a line between the two school groups. At one point during the games, a Blessed Trinity fan was ejected from the gym for inappropriate behavior. The hostility between the fans fueled similar intensity on the court. BT players antagonized key Westminster basketball players, such as Will Benson, bumping into him after contested loose balls and getting in his face, or at least trying to. WCAT's Hannah Morgan asked Will how he kept himself focused. So I know things got pretty chippy at some points during the game where after certain plays, a kid came up and bumped you a couple of times, got in your face. How did you maintain your composure when that happened?
Well, I knew it was going to be a little chippy, like I said, because of the rivalry. But like I said, he was a freshman and I'm a senior, so it's not I'm not going to stoop down to that level. And I'm pretty sure he probably didn't even know who I was. So, that was dumb idea on his part. But like I said, I knew it was going to be chippy. It was still a good game at the end of the day.
The Cats are certainly glad to get the win against BT, but as the Georgia High School Association reclassifies next year, BT will move up to 4A, while Westminster will be staying at 3A. As a result, this season will most likely be the last in which the Wildcats match up against the Titans as region rivals. Given how much the Cats love to beat BT, they're sad that the storied rivalry may be put on hold for at least the next 2 to 3 seasons. Thanks. Now back to you guys, and as always, go Cats.
Thanks, Hannah. It's clear that these two schools don't quite get along.
One of the most popular places on campus is the Campus Center, and while it's a great place to be during the day, many students leave trash all over the room.
For a more detailed look at the Campus Center, let's go to Lauren Minnick. Lauren?
Every day, students come to the Campus Center for food and drinks and for a place to hang out. The problem is when they leave, lots of trash is left behind, leaving the janitorial staff to clean up after the students. At the end of the school day, the amount of garbage left behind in the Campus Center is appalling. Students who go in the Campus Center know that the amount of garbage left behind is a problem, but still garbage is left behind for other students and staff to clean up.
I'm Lauren Minnick here with WCAT. Today, we're going to find out how trash in the Campus Center affects faculty and students. To find out more about this, we interviewed a few students to see what their opinions were on the topic.
I'd say I go to the campus center like 3-4 times a week.
When you're there, do you notice that the trash is being left behind?
Yeah, I do notice there's oftentimes a lot of trash being left at the tables and on the floor and stuff.
Have you ever helped clean up the trash at the campus center?
Yeah, I do what I like to think that I do what I can to help out, like Ronnie and all the janitorial staff.
Do you see faculty cleaning up after students?
I think most of the cleaning up goes on after school once all the students are gone, because it's not there in the morning.
How often do you go to the campus center?
I'd say about once or twice a week.
Do you notice the trash is being left behind?
Yeah, I actually have noticed, but whenever I go in, there's like a lot of people, so I can't really see the trash, but I assume there would be a lot.
Have you ever helped to clean up the trash?
Yeah, I have. When we had a great outing once, and we all went to the campus center, and they left a bunch of trash there, so I helped clean it up.
Do you see faculty cleaning up after students?
Yeah, I do, especially in the lunchroom, not really in the campus center, because I don't think a lot of faculty go in the campus center.
How often do you go to the campus center?
Probably 3-4 times a week.
Do you notice that the trash is being left behind?
I mean, definitely there's a lot of trash being left behind. I'm not in there for a long enough time, but when I am in there, there's trash everywhere. I mean, it's something like, you know, when I come back the next morning, it's away, but obviously, like, it's not the students picking it up.
Have you ever helped to clean up the trash in the campus center?
I mean, like, if there's trash left on, like, the table over there where all the condiments are, I'll pick it up and I'll just toss it away. It's like I'm never usually over, like, where the rest of everyone's chilling out. So, I mean, but if I see trash, I pick it up and throw it away.
Do you see faculty cleaning up after students?
I personally have not seen that. I mean, I've heard about it, but, like, I've never seen it. But, yeah.
We then interviewed campus center worker Ronnie Belcher to see how trash affects his workday. Do you notice the amount of trash here at the campus center?
Yes, from time to time I notice the trash, and I talk with the students about help maintaining the area.
Do you end up being responsible for cleaning up trash that's left behind?
Not in general, but I do help out.
What do you do to try and prevent the messes?
Well, I mainly communicate with the students, and most time if I ask, I have several students that help, Other than that, janitorial normally come around at certain times and check on it. But we are trying to get the students to be more involved.
Overall, we found out that students were aware of the trash problem, and while some did their part to clean up, most did not. Many times cleaning up after students became the staff's problem. Students would even see staff cleaning up and not help. This becomes a problem because if students are bad stewards and cannot maintain their space, then the staff might make consequences for the students they catch leaving trash, such as a detention or a loss of their campus center privilege.
For WCAT, I'm Lauren Minnick. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Lauren, for that insightful information on all of the trash in the campus center. It's easy to see that thoughtless actions by some students can affect the entire high school, from students to faculty.
The final story of the day is about one of the most popular Janterms at Westminster, Guatemala.
The students in the program had to go through a lot of preparation in order to go on the trip, including raising money by selling coffee and soccer jerseys. Let's send it over to Will Smith and Jack to learn more about their experiences and expectations regarding the trip. Jack and Will?
Hi, I'm Jack Schlafly.
And I'm Will Smith.
And today we'll be featuring one of the most popular and talked about Janterms here at Westminster, Guatemala. Led by Daniel Searle and Bill McGann, the program teaches students about respect for others and humility. Once Janterm started last year here at Westminster, the Guatemala Janterm started as well.
Guatemala program now in its 9th iteration, the WCAT 9. It's a program of service learning combined with global education. We have a group of Westminster students who meet, gather, learn about Guatemala during the months leading up to the trip. They'll also fundraise. Each student is responsible for a minimum of $800. That's their goal to reach. Then the culmination of the whole process is the actual trip to Guatemala, where in Guatemala we will work with From Houses to Homes, our partner organization on the ground in the Antigua area. We will build 3 homes for families that are currently living in extreme poverty. We'll connect with 2 of our sister schools, La Excelencia in the Pastores area and Quemnaoj in Santa Maria de Jesus. We will tutor the kids, we will learn from them, we'll spend time getting to know them and their families. We'll also visit the Clínicas Médicas San Jose, the third piece of the puzzle, the health care. So now we've got education, we've got health care, and we've got housing. Those 3 pieces that we help contribute to and maybe give these families that are in a dire situation a little boost, because they are hard workers, they want to make a better situation for themselves, and these pushes, these boosts as we refer to them there, will hopefully help send them in that direction.
And the 2 things that we're hoping to accomplish on the trip were to help the people of Guatemala and then to also show the Westminster people, Westminster kids, that you can go on a trip like this, have an incredible amount of fun, and have it be really rewarding.
Well, I think obviously something like that that's so impactful in your life will carry over to the rest of your life, and especially in Westminster, because first of all, I built a ton of relationships with different people at Westminster that I would not have otherwise had the opportunity to, but Guatemala gave me a great opportunity to do that, and it also taught me a lot of different life lessons that I've been able to take back, and I'm definitely a lot more thankful for what I have now, having seen the hardships people go through and how nice and grateful they still are, and I just trying to be a better person because of it.
Probably on the last day when we had finished the house, we all had dinner with the family, and that moment where we presented them with the keys to the house and a certificate, it was probably really gratifying because the mother, she was very choked up and emotional, and so just seeing her, how it affected her, having a new home, it was really great to see the impact of that.
They seemed more comfortable. The family seemed more comfortable when we left, knowing that they had that house, because it's actually their daughter has asthma, and the daughter would have asthma attacks in the middle of the night, and it would wake up the son and cause a lot of chaos. So now they have a separate house for the daughter and the mom to deal with that in, and it was just amazing to see how happy they were and how much it was already making a difference to them for what we had done.
While the program boasts many impressive alumni, this year's group of students is no slouch. Some of the best students from each of their respective grades were chosen to go on this year's trip. Let's see what they have to say.
So my expectations, I'm not really sure, but I'm kind of excited. I'm pretty ready to build some houses and meet some new people, make some great connections with the indigenous people and whatnot.
So each of us had to raise $800 individually, and it's going to go into our building supplies that we're going to use to build the houses down there. And then the leftover money that we're not going to use for the supplies is going to go into the education and the healthcare and the housing of the Guatemalan people.
My expectations are to build a house for a family in need and to make some really quality connections that I'll have for the rest of my life.
Oh, I'm really excited. I think it has an opportunity to be as good as any other group or even better. Every time we go, we learn something. We learn something about the people of Guatemala, what their needs are, and then also about ourselves. So the trips keep getting better and better. We got a great group of students going this year. They've worked really hard. They've done incredible fundraising, and they're really excited about the trip, and we leave in the morning. So I'm really excited about it.
Such an exciting time for these students. You can see how much they light up every time they talk about it.
Well, I think that's all we have for today. For Will Smith and the rest of our crew, I'm Jack Schlafly. Go Cats.
Well, that about wraps up for this week's show. I'm Eliza Normark.
And I'm Jack Schlafly. Go Cats.